I've come to the realization that I can't do it all. And I was thinking about how to proceed and what to do next, kind of giving myself a little pep talk with some reasoning built in. And I thought maybe you'd be feeling the same way too, because maybe you're feeling a little bit stressed out about your never ending to do list that you can't quite ever get through. Because that's how I've been feeling. And as Gen X women, we were sold the idea that not only could we be it all, do it all, and have it all, but we look fabulous in the process. So today, I'm going to share my thoughts and some ideas on how to take a few things off my plate for the next few weeks, and I thought maybe they'd be helpful to you too. So growing up in the 80s, there was a lot of advertising that we were all exposed to as children, which thinking about it now just seems totally crazy because I think for the most part we can just skip commercials and ignore them entirely. But back then things were different. We had to watch TV and watch the commercials if you didn't want to miss out on the next segment of the show you were watching. And I remember and I don't even remember what the product was. I just remember the slogan, like, you can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan and never let him see you sweat. And I don't know what any of those things were for, if that was the same commercial or different commercials, but I remember it was this image of this woman who, worked all day, came home, made dinner, and still looked fabulous. And incidentally, her house also looked spotless in the commercial. And then I was thinking about the Virginia Slim ads that were in the back of my teen magazine. And we won't go into advertising smoking to teenage girls because that's a whole nother can of worms. But I remember like the fake, vintage photos of like the woman working at the sweatshop, and then there was like the corporate woman of the 80s who was, you've come a long way, baby. And that slogan in of itself is also slightly offensive at this point in time. But I remember seeing that and thinking like, oh yeah, that's who I'm going to be. And then, think about some of the popular shows on TV, and the one that really comes to mind, of course, is Wonder Woman, because Linda Carter made it look effortless as, Diana working in her, scientific lab. And I don't really know what she did specifically. I don't think any of us really did, because we were more focused on her turning into the fabulous Wonder Woman at night and, fighting crime in a strapless bustier and high heel boots and, taking out the bad guys while looking fabulous. And I think that, that's probably how we all started to think of ourselves as Wonder Woman, because we watched her on TV once a week and we all loved her. And she did all the things, so why couldn't we do the same things? And I realize this is a tangent from my usual content, but it does all come back circularly, if you bear with me for a few minutes, because working a full-time job and then coming home and creating content and doing sewing videos and sharing my knowledge with you is something that I absolutely love. I really wish I didn't have the day job, but I have to pay my bills. So that's a necessity in, these days where everything costs a fortune. And, but it's been getting to be a lot lately. And I just am trying to do so many different things right now, including rebuild my website, which the about page is done. I mean, the homepage is done. If you want to go check it out, it's sosolounge.com. But the about page is not done. And I just had to kind of say, okay, I'll put in a space holding page for now. It's just going to have to be good enough, because the important thing is that all of my landing pages were rebuilt, so you can still sign up and get, free downloadable guides and the Pellon interfacing PDF, and sign up for the newsletter if you want to join the live stream. And all that's still working. And I got my email transferred and my website transferred, but it's not finished. And I have to be okay with that, because for now, it's just good enough. And moving it to a new platform was challenging, and it's mostly done. Okay, we'll say halfway done. but it's going to be better and it's going to improve things, and I'll have more offerings for you of cool stuff coming up, probably in August and September, and I'll tell you more about that later. But for now, it was just the stress of getting it done and making it look good. And then the other thing I've been working on outside of this world of YouTube and sewing is my fabric course that I'm going to be teaching at the Sewing and Quilting Expo in August. And August is quickly approaching. Like, we're halfway through July. So I'm putting the finishing touches on the course binder right now so I can send it off to the printer, and getting some final details done with the slide presentation. But all of that takes time. And looking at, the increase in work that I've had lately and being at court longer. And if you don't know, I'm a lawyer during the day and I practice traffic law, which means I'm in court every day. And I have anywhere from 30 to 75 clients, depending on the day of the week. Monday's always the worst day. I think we've got about 75 clients this Monday, so it's going to be a slog. But I'm actually in court talking to people and talking to my clients and talking to police officers and talking to prosecutors and judges. And that takes a lot of energy out of you. Being there, being present, looking for, defects, trying to help people out of situations where they're not always happy and they feel like they've been, wrongly written a ticket. And human interaction is always a challenge in that it just always kind of drains me when, it's a lot of clients and it's a lot of people to talk to. And Mondays are always the worst, just because it's always so many people. And then it kind of, varies through the rest of the week. So there's that. And then on top of all of this is Grandma being sick. So just a quick update on Grandma. She left the hospital in Fredericksburg and was transported by ambulance to a skilled nursing facility, which is here in Houston, and thankfully very close to my house. So I can stop by and see her on my way home from work. It's 2 exits before the exit for my house, so it's very convenient to just hop off the highway, go see her, hop back on, and go home. But that's something that's kind of taken a priority that I didn't expect. When she was here for my birthday, we made the fabric video and we had such a good time together and she was doing really well. And then we're not really sure what happened, but it seems like she had some dehydration issues and her body started accumulating fluid and there was buildup around her heart and lungs. And the doctor in, the country hospital basically said that, she's in the early stages of congestive heart failure. Like on a scale of 1 to 5, she's probably about a 2.5. She's probably been having some problems for a while that nobody picked up on. But it's kind of one of those things where we're not really sure what's going on. And unfortunately, she's been having a lot of delirium. And so while sometimes she recognizes, me and my sister and my husband, it's not all the time. And she seems to be very confused about where she is and what's happening and, what time it is, what day it is, that sort of thing. Now, I was very hopeful on Friday because I did stop by to see her on my way home from work because I got done super early. And we had about a 30-minute conversation, and it was funny because she was like, "I'm really cold. I need to wear one of my fleece jackets." And I said, "Okay, let me get it for you." So I got her all in her fleece jacket. And then she was like, "When I get settled, you need to bring me back my featherweight sewing machine because I need to make my own fleece jackets." And I was thinking, okay, Grandma. But I said, "Grandma, I can make you another fleece jacket if you want one." I go, "But the only fleece I have left has like cats on it." But I think she'd be okay with that. And she's like, "You just don't have time for that." And I was like, "Well, Grandma, I'll make the time for it. That's important for you to have a fleece jacket to stay warm." And, we had a nice little conversation for about 30 minutes before her occupational therapist came in and, took her off to go do those activities. But then it's, she's kind of been in and out since then. So it's hard. It's hard to see, and it's hard to, be there when she's in that state of mind. And so that's taking a toll on me as well, because I know how fortunate I've been. My sister and I talked about this, about how fortunate we've been to have our favorite grandparent for for all of our lives. I mean, she has always been the most involved with us and our favorite, and we've had her for so long. I mean, I'm 50, my sister's, a few years younger, and she's been such an integral part of her life. I mean, we've both lived with her as adults. I lived with her when I was in law school for 3 years. My sister has lived with her for the past 2.5 years prior to, her hospitalization back in February, and then moving in with my mom. And we've had a fantastic life with her, and she shared so much. And then, she's been on this channel and shared her wisdom with all of you. And it's just been amazing that you've enjoyed seeing her and appreciated her expertise and her stories and everything, because she just, who knew? Who knew in her 90s Grandma would become a YouTube star? And, in light of all the recent tragedy in the Texas Hill Country and so many lives lost because of all of this horrible flooding that, happened in the middle of the night, and, everyone was unprepared, and so many young girls, are missing or, deceased. That's a tragedy. I mean, that's like a tragedy. And, being here in Texas and, hearing about it, because, it's not that far from us. We actually, when Anna and I drove to see Grandma in the hospital on July 4th, this all happened at like, I think around 3-4 o'clock in the morning on July 4th. And it was still raining when we drove out there, and we almost got to Kerrville, but then we turned north to go up to Fredericksburg, where Grandma was. And it was like there were all these streets closed with flooding and towns closed. One of the towns we drove past, Comfort, which is just before Kerrville, the whole downtown was flooded. You could see it from the highway. And we saw people with airboats, like Cajun Navy guys, like passing us on the highway, and we're like, what's going on? Like, because we hadn't watched the news. We basically woke up on July 4th. I was working on my website. My mom called us and basically said, hey, your grandma has congestive heart failure. We don't know what's going to happen. And Anna and I just decided, okay, we're packing up honey and throwing our bags in the car and hitting the road. And that's what we did. So we didn't even know until later in the day, once we got there, like the extent of the devastation in Kerrville and Hunt and that whole area along the Guadalupe. So there kind of was like a weird kind of, sadness hanging over the town while we were there, even though Fredericksburg is not, Kerrville, it's about 40 minutes away. But it wasn't quite the celebratory 4th of July that you would normally expect in a small Texas town. And Anna and I just kind of were talking like, we've been so fortunate, and we've had such great years with her. And she's had such mental clarity for so long that we've been so blessed to just be part of her lives and have her as part of our lives for so long. That, if the time is coming to an end, then, we're okay with that. And we still want to spend as much time as possible with her. So we're very thankful that she's here in Houston, and we can both go to see her, whenever we want, basically, because it's just so close. So this is what's going on in my life right now. And I was talking to my YouTube coach, and she knew about the website and the course and teaching the course and getting the course binder done, but then also recreating the course digitally. And when she found out about everything going on with Grandma, she said, I know I'm a YouTube coach, but maybe you need to take a break from YouTube. And it's okay to do that. Like, it's okay to say, hey, I've got too much on my plate right now, and there's a few things I really need to focus on and get those finished, and then I can come back to YouTube. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm almost done with my course curriculum, with the binder for the class. So if you haven't signed up, and you're going to be in the Dallas area in late July, early August, I am teaching on August 2nd. Love to have you in my class. It is not full. I keep checking to see if it says sold out. There are only 20 spots, but I do know that some of them are filled. But if that's something you're interested in and you're in the area, please come join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to learn a lot. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out, and the course binder is going to be super cool. And you're going to be able to take it home with you. That's the best part. So anyway, I just need to focus on that. I need to focus on getting that done. And then for those of you who are not able to make the class in person, there will be a digital version available that I still have to go record the audio for those slides, because I'm basically doing it live and presenting the slides for the class. So that'll be available in August if you're interested. And there will be more about that later, but for now, I'm just going to give you a teaser. It's going to help you learn about all the components of fabric, everything from fiber to yarn twist to weave. I cover some knit fabrics in a module just about knits, and then we'll wrap it up with some tips to shop with more authority and more knowledge of what the fabric descriptions actually mean. And I'll show you some of the sites that I like that have, really good information to help you make more informed purchases. That's where we are right now. I have to see Grandma every day. I just need to. It's something that I just know she would do the same for me. I think the time when Grandma was there for me when I needed her the most was after I got divorced, and was just like in a really bad place. And she was always calling me to come over or to take me to dinner or to just check in and to make me food. And Grandma's love language is food, and she makes a really good chicken salad. And I ate a lot of chicken salad during that year after my divorce. But she was there for me, and I need to be there for her and go see her and check in. And, hopefully as she gets a little bit more settled in the skilled nursing facility, she'll have a little bit more clarity about where she is. I think there's still a lot of confusion, and I'm still hopeful that she's going to come out of this fog that she's currently in, so that, we can have some more conversations and talk about some more sewing stuff, because that's always been our favorite topic of conversation. And that's not to say that I'm putting YouTube on hold for an indefinite period of time. I will tell you, it will be a few weeks. After the Sewing Expo, the first weekend of August, I'll be back at it. You can expect some more videos. I'll be launching the digital fabric course, so that will be something fun for you to check out as well. And I am still going to do the live stream next Saturday because it's live. I can just talk on the fly, and it's not going to be, it's not like a whole bunch of prep work and editing that I have to do. So I'll be sending out an email reminder on Wednesday, as usual, to remind you to be here and come up with some kind of topic of discussion, or we may just do a Q&A, and I'll show you some fun things I bought recently during Amazon Prime. And then I also got some cool new fabric at this kind of hidden fabric store that Anna and I found in Fredericksburg. So yeah, I guess in parting, I would say that if you're feeling overwhelmed and trying to do it all and realizing that, this mythical woman of the 80s that we all aspired to be once we grew up, she's probably exhausted just like we are. And if you've got a lot on your plate, maybe look at the one thing that maybe could just be put on the back burner for a little while and say like, hey, let's just pause that. Let's get some things finished that need to be finished, and then we can come back to it, because it's just getting to be a little bit too much. And so that would be my advice to you. Find that one thing, take it off your plate, and, focus on the most important things right now. And if that's, spending time with your kids or your husband and, focusing on something creative to help you relax, or, going and getting a massage or a facial, then go do that. I had a client this week and I got her case dismissed early, and she's like, oh, but I already paid for the babysitter for the kids for like till 4. And I said, go get a facial or go get a massage. Like, go have some me time. I was like, you're a great mom. You took care of your kids. You came to court. I got your ticket dismissed early. Now you have some free time. Go see a movie. So that's what I would say to you as well. Just pause and evaluate. Maybe you can have a little bit more breathing room, and maybe you can spend a little bit more time with the people you love. And, you know, that makes all the difference. I'll see you soon.